That's right. It's time for Against the Spread. And, of course, it's brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Stay tuned because you'll hear all that DraftKings has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Jeremy Taché, kick us off.
Well, you guys know I'm a big tennis guy now, ever since seeing the movie Challengers.
You hit that one. Billy's 2-0 his last 2 times going. He had Rangers plus 2.5 a couple weeks ago. Rangers, Panthers before that.
So
Billy's
he's
on
hot.
fire.
Billy,
Everyone's on fire.
Billy,
Jeremy,
you
what do you
making a
got?
pick here? Or?
No, I was told no.
Well, at 4 a.m.
He's 2-0,
in the French Open, the number one, Iga Swiatek, is taking on Coco Gauff. And we all love Coco Gauff down here in South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and say Coco Gauff plus 500.
Wow.
Money line.
Against the spread. It's a spread. We're going to pretend it's a spread.
Yeah,
It's a money line.
Not doing this right.
Roland Garros.
I love the red clay at Roland Garros. Oh, my God.
All right, second leg.
Eric Moulds.
That's Thursday Thunder. My against the spread, I'm going to the association, Dallas Mavericks, getting 6.5.
Oh, I love that.
Points versus the Boston Celtics, game 1 of the NBA Finals. I'm taking the Dallas Mavericks against the spread. Plus 6.5.
Roy Bellamy.
All right, Braves at Red Sox. The Braves are a 1.5 favorite. The Braves have won the last 11 Wednesday games against American League teams with losing records. So I'm going with the Braves against
The spread. What's the matter?
The Stanley Cup Finals about to start. You're the hockey guy, the hockey show, and you pick Braves Red Sox?
That's right.
But
Why can't you tell us?
The baseball show.
I want Billy's hockey
So
pick.
do I.
You're
He's
on
2-0.
fire. Give me
Yes.
that. Give me game 1. What do you
What
like?
got? Yeah. It's the Stanley Cup now, Billy. I mean,
You
said
already
we
know
could-
my answer.
He
on
wasn't
that
ready
one,
for
by the
this, guys. To
He
be
said we could
honest.
start caring now.
Yeah,
we could
but he
start
wasn't
talking
ready
about
for
it.
this to pick
He's
up
still
to
not
make a
caring
pick.
about this.
Now, I will say this. I wasn't prepared to make this.
Right.
I haven't done the proper research. But if I had to give you an against the spread pick, I would take Edmonton plus 1.5.
Don't listen to
Game
him.
1.
Okay.
Oh. But Roy said not to listen to you.
That's fine. You don't have to listen to me. I couched it on the front, and I said I didn't do all of the research.
He has
but
the
I would
Panthers
take-
winning by 1. I mean,
Exactly. I'm
Right.
not saying that Edmonton's going to win. I just don't know if the Panthers are going to win by 2. Against the spread.
all right.
Against
2-0.
Yeah.
2-0 his last 2.
They also I'm looking at this, and if I'm wrong, I could be wrong. Against the spread.
Against the spread.
Tony, I have checked out the calories in a shepherd's pie from the Cheesecake
It's
Factory.
diabolical.
What did you say? What was your
Well,
guess?
I said 8,700.
You were very quick with that.
8,700 is ridiculous.
It would kill you.
That's impossible.
It's 1,520 calories.
That's just the dish. Like, we're not talking appetizers.
That's if you eat the plate.
We're not talking the cheesecake at the end.
The recommended amount of calories per day is 2,000.
Really? By whom?
Whatever I'm looking at on my screen right now.
Well,
That
what
sounds
are you
about
looking-
right.
I think it's right.
That's low.
Well, I think it depends
I
on the
could
person,
crush
too.
more than 2,000 calories a day. Get out of here. When did they make this
Shepherd's
at
pie,
like
1,500.
18, 19 when people were eating hay or something? Get out of
You
here.
could do it with one shepherd's pie.
Shepherd's pie and a Coke, you're good.
Yeah.
Why are you telling everyone that broccoli isn't real?
Look, guys, I'm here to bring truth to the masses.
Rarely.
Okay? That's what I do
Opinion
around
at
here.
best.
Broccoli, as we know it, is not real.
As we know it.
As we know it. Broccoli as we know it is not real. And I'm not here to say that it's a GMO. Okay? It's not.
General Motors.
It's a plant.
Modified.
Organism.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm going to need a little more behind this.
So-
I feel like you're mailing in this take.
No,
Yeah,
no, I'm not. I'm
explain.
not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm
like
just
the
trying
Cuban
to.
pilot thing
I'm
that never
trying
aired.
to.
It's just like broccoli's not real. Discuss.
Your thoughts? No.
Let me.
So broccoli, as we know it, does not come from the ground. They had to not genetically, but they had to modify it over years of farming to get broccoli as we know it. The Romans, ancient Romans, created broccoli by what's the word?
Wi-Fi.
Straining, like when you co-strain
Cross
things.
Training.
Restraining order.
Yeah.
No, not restraining order.
Like cross
It's
breeding.
crossbreeding, exactly right. So with crossbreeding,
Biology.
they created broccoli that we know now.
Right.
But broccoli did not exist before that. Not a real thing.
So are multicultural people not a real thing?
Okay.
That's your take. I don't know what
I'm
happened.
j- I'm
there.
asking.
That's
It's a
your
question, not a
logic. I
take. I mean,
It's
Just wondering.
multicultural people are definitely a thing. I don't know.
he boxed you in there. It was a terrible thing to do.
It's
Billy's a
weird-
terrible
I don't
friend.
get
He
the, I
is,
don't get
right.
the thread between
I
broccoli
know.
and between multicultural people.
Right.
Well, what was that?
That doesn't matter.
Crossbreeding.
Google said broccoli's real.
It was
Yeah.
I just
Where'd you Google, is broccoli real?
is broccoli real?
and Google said
Google
yes.
says it's
Yes.
real.
Also, your point though, I think lemons are the same way. That lemons were like
They're not real.
they're very real, but they weren't originally lemons. They were a cross between a wild citrus known as a citron and a semi-domesticated variety of bitter orange.
So there's things that we have.
So there are
we
things that
eat
they're real,
But are they?
but they weren't always the way they were.
They've evolved.
Yeah,
in a
they
sense.
changed.
Exactly.
I
right.
think what Tony
As
is
things
saying
do.
is broccoli in its original form was not good enough to serve as a food.
It didn't exist.
It didn't exist. They had to add something to the broccoli to make it exist.
I think
Oh.
you're saying broccoli
So it's
wasn't
not real.
invented.
Yes.
Like it was invented, but it wasn't like naturally. I get what
It's-
you're saying.
It wasn't. It didn't come from the ground.
Like-
and we just woke up one day like, damn, there's broccoli.
Like, are Lucky Charms real?
no.
like red
well, they're
delicious
real.
apples.
Like blood oranges.
Yeah, like red delicious apples. Those were like genetically modified.
They're
which is-
hybrids.
Yeah, which is crazy because those are the worst. I can't believe they like
Very much
put
not
those together.
delicious.
I would think
Not
broccoli
good.
wouldn't.
Mushy.
I would think broccoli wouldn't be healthy if it was like created in a lab.
But
Is
it,
it
but it
healthy,
was like a
Tony?
mix of fruit or vegetables. Lemon's the mix of fruit.
Also not made in a lab. This started in the 6th century BC.
Just
So
like the idea of a lab.
Ancient
Yeah.
Romans. I like the idea of a lab
beaker,
too.
liquid
Yeah.
and beaker.
The
and
lab
like,
is all
and I
outside.
have made broccoli.
And then a flort comes out, and you're like, oh, what's this?
It's kind of like cannabis, like a hybrid.
Exactly right.
Little sativa,
Ancient
a little bit
Romans
of that.
created the
yes.
first
Mash it all together,
broccoli.
and boom. Oh, does it feel good, Valhalla?
Broccoli doesn't make me lay on my couch for an hour and crush a pint of ice cream, though.
It depends.
Is that
Depends
what
what kind of broccoli you're getting.
Yeah.
No splitting there.
I split it with myself.
Oh my god.
How did you decide to go on this broccoli journey? Like, what were you?
Because I was thinking about, I was like, I've never really seen anybody be like, oh, here's a broccoli farm. You know what I mean? So I started doing a little research on broccoli, and I realized we used to not grow it. Obviously, used to in a small amount of time between the entire planet's history versus the time that humans have been alive and creating broccoli. Like, it used to
God
not always be
invented
there.
humans, just
Huh?
to be clear.
Right?
Yeah. So, how is broccoli made now?
On a farm.
On a farm.
So
now.
there are
Right.
broccoli
There are
farms.
broccoli
Yeah, but I had never seen one, so I was thinking about
They're in
broccoli.
California.
Right. It's a weird thing to be thinking about. I
90%
gotta
of the
be honest.
broccoli.
Gummies.
Broccoli?
You never know.
Really? I do know. I've taken
90%?
gummies that I've never thought about broccoli ever.
Wait, 90% of broccoli in the
Of
world?
the
is-
United States
okay,
is
yeah.
from California, and they ship 15 to 20% of it to Asia.
We talked about
They
broccoli.
produce a lot of broccoli in
They
China,
make-
it looks like.
they're-
Yeah. China, India, U.S., Spain, Mexico.
California, I don't think has a fair reputation. That is such a farming state.
Yeah.
There's so many farms there.
We talked about horse girls earlier. Lucy, broccoli girl.
I,
You
I
know-
like broccoli.
You know a lot about broccoli.
I can't
Well,
stand
I've just been
broccoli.
looking it up as we
Yeah, you
talked.
could've
It
fooled
started
me.
with, is broccoli real?
Favorite vegetable? I'm asking. I'm not saying it's
Sweet
broccoli.
potato.
I think broccoli. No, Brussels sprouts.
I love
Brussels
Brussels
sprouts.
Oh,
Brussels
Brussels
sprouts are
sprouts.
good.
They are
Having a
great. I
moment.
love Brussels sprouts.
They
Having a
get
moment.
very unfairly portrayed in like TV shows and movies. Like the kids are like, we'll never eat Brussels sprouts. It's always that vegetable, and I feel like they're great.
It's just because of the smell of when you cook them that I think they projected, hey, this doesn't taste good, and kids were afraid of it. But that's almost a cycle within itself. Chicken and egg sort of scenario of
the chicken
do
and
we
the egg.
not like Brussels sprouts, or were we just fed that by the media trying to manipulate us? Maybe owned by Big Broccoli, trying to get us away from eating
Guys,
Brussels sprouts
I don't
and into
wanna-
eating
I
broccoli.
don't want to say this, but broccoli has been modified. Excuse me. Brussels
Monofried. Oh, that
No.
sounds delicious.
No. Brussels sprouts have been
I
modified.
did Google while you were talking about Brussels sprouts. Are Brussels sprouts real? And it says, yes, Brussels sprouts are a real vegetable. But then the second sentence is they are human-engineered strain of the wide cabbage plant. And then later on it says Brussels sprouts are in the same family as broccoli. So are Brussels sprouts real?
Well, here's the thing.
It's a mini cabbage.
They were modified to take out the bitterness originally, and we've been getting fed Brussels sprouts that aren't bitter, which is why we like them now.
The only reason they're good now is because they're fried. That's it. I'm sorry.
Or
Yeah.
just burn,
They're
or
not
just in an
fried.
oven
It's
for
an
like
unfair
2 hours.
advantage. No, I've had fried Brussels sprouts.
Fried
aren't
Brussels sprouts are great.
themselves. You
They're
could fry
amazing.
Brussels sprouts.
They're also
They're
good
not.
just in an
Bacon
oven,
on top.
Yeah, they're good in
like
an oven.
Yeah.
cooked
No,
really
they're
long.
not. No.
They are. Like you can I'm with you. You want them
For
crispy.
you, they might be. For me, they have to be fried with just dripping in butter.
I'm telling
I mean,
you, I could cook some oven Brussels sprouts that you'd be like, these are bleeping good.
Air fryer Brussels sprout.
Oh,
guy.
I love air fryer Brussels sprouts.
Little like Asian sauce on top too. Make them like an Asian style. I love it.
I drizzle a little honey on
my
top
man.
of them and then put it back
Honey
in the oven
man.
for
Hey,
5
physics.
minutes.
Yeah.
Love it.
Welcome to June.
did you
Trivia.
just fist bump him on that? Really?
Trivia, vegetable trivia. What is the most consumed vegetable in the world?
Corn.
Yeah,
Nope.
corn. No,
tomatoes.
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 Really?
Yeah.
But
Is
it's a
tomato
fruit, though.
That was just a
Should be a
guess.
fruit.
It is tomato.
Tomato
looked it up.
is a fruit, I think.
Yeah, wasn't that
I
a
mean,
big thing?
So it's not
Was
the
the internet messing with me?
Well,
It
the
was
Supreme,
like
the
the
Supreme
Most
Court
consumed
called it a
vegetable,
vegetable.
and
Yeah.
It pops
Listen,
up tomatoes.
Supreme Court, do something important with your time. Don't talk to me
Tomato-
about tomatoes.
Tomato as a fruit felt like the
Good point.
Pluto as a planet.
Right.
Same sort of energy
Back and
there.
forth, not
Just
sure.
like, what are we doing?
Why
Well,
did we do that to
so-
Pluto?
It's really disrespectful to Pluto.
It's still
really
out there.
And Pluto's just
Last time I
chilling out
checked.
there.
Yeah.
Doesn't have it-
Not
Pluto,
pissing anyone off, not doing anything.
Pluto probably has no clue.
No clue that it's
I
not a
would say
planet
probably
anymore.
not, yeah.
They got the information late.
Now, and tomatoes are the most consumed, but I have what I believe to be just the most important vegetable, and I don't think anyone would say it. The most important.
All right, this is
The
Well,
different.
but hold on a second. Tomato is not the most consumed vegetable because it's not a vegetable. It's a fruit.
It's a fruit.
So
has
it cannot
seeds.
be the most consumed vegetable. 'Cause
Google
it's not
lied
a
to me
vegetable.
then.
I said,
How's
is
it a
tomato a
fruit?
fruit? And it comes out, yes, it's a fruit.
Is it the AI? You can't trust that on Google.
Yahoo, which is the most eaten vegetable in the world? Tomato.
It's not a vegetable.
I know.
But,
just
but
telling
again,
you what the internet's telling
it's
me.
classified as a vegetable because of the Supreme Court, but it's actually
Supreme Court.
biologically.
Why are we
it's a
getting
fruit.
judicial here? I don't understand.
Right.
it.
Why is
that's
the
just
court
way it
ruling
is.
on this? Any court? I mean,
I don't know why.
Also, the Supreme Court rulings only apply to the United States if it was the U.S. Supreme
Whoa.
Court. So is it internationally a vegetable but nationally a fruit?
What is it
That
like?
I don't know.
U.S. versus tomato? Like what's the
U.S. versus big
what's
tomato.
the case here?
What is our lives would change the most if we got rid of this vegetable? I have the answer.
Hold on a second. We're still by the other one. What's the second
this
most
is a different way of
consumed
framing the
vegetable?
most
The second
important
most has to be
vegetable.
Are we talking Supreme Court or no?
This,
don't
the
know
answer to
I'm
this
on to
question
you.
is not tomato. The question I'm asking.
Corn.
Nope.
Why not?
Because it's a starch. It's not a
Why
vegetable.
not?
The most important.
I think corn is the least healthiest vegetable.
Well, no, I thought you said the
George
most like,
Sedano
useful.
once told me that it has a lot of what does it have?
Maybe
Sodium.
Dan
Wait,
can
what
ask
was
us.
your
So-
what was your prompt? What was
Corn
the
is
question?
starch.
Yes.
The
Charger
question
preview.
was the one that we
It
rely
was
on
most
the most.
consumed at one point, and then
No,
we
because
switched.
that most consumed was tomato. I
Yep,
thought it was
you're
rely
following.
on most. But like, there's ethanol and high fructose corn syrup, and
Bad
they
for
put
you.
corn on everything. Corn is animal feed, so I think corn's the most used.
The answer for the most important. This is just my opinion. This is not. the
Okay,
internet.
so
Oh,
then
okay.
this is
No.
I wanna
No,
hear it.
guys,
I
two
mean,
different things. The
right.
tomato thing was just internet is telling me this is
Right.
the most consumed.
Tomato.
Now I have
Okay.
what is just it's the most underrated because I don't think anyone
Also
here would
from the
say
internet.
it.
In your personal
Start
record
throwing
book.
them at me.
Yes.
What is the most important vegetable?
How did you
I
outdo
already
Tony?
said corn.
All right, I deny that. That is you're the only one that's guessed, and I deny that. What is the most important vegetable?
It's not bad.
What's your opinion?
Right.
I don't know. What is
Lettuce,
it? Okay.
What?
Lettuce.
Why?
salads, burgers, other stuff.
You're right.
All right.
You can have a salad
Case
without
closed.
lettuce.
Sold.
I'm telling you though,
Salads,
your life
burgers, other
changes.
Supreme
stuff.
Court has ruled.
Your life
Is lettuce
changes.
real?
If we get rid of blank vegetable, your life changes the most if lettuce is gone
I'll just use kale instead.
or arugula.
Talk about that
Arugula's
sucks.
good.
Kale sucks.
Let us use another option.
Oh boy, Jeremy.
Get out.
Come on, man.
No, stay here. I needed an
What?
answer.
Okay.
No one's got a better one.
I literally gave you a great
Nah,
answer.
corn.
Corn
my life
could be
wouldn't
considered
change
a
without
vegetable,
corn.
grain, or fruit, depending.
favorite
No,
segment.
it would it would change, but like
favorite
she's
segment.
telling you it would change because you don't understand how often it's used.
Yeah, corn is in everything. Like you probably wouldn't have you wouldn't be eating meat if it weren't for corn because it's such a popular animal feed.
You're getting into like the science of all this.
Well, that's
I'm talking
what you
about just
said. You
humans.
said
Bogged
like
down in
what
the
was
weeds.
the most.
I'm just talking about humans and what they consume.
I
and
don't
what they
think it'd be
they
lettuce
consume.
because I think lettuce is easily substituted.
that is true.
Also, I feel like every like 1 or 2 years there's a weird lettuce outbreak, and they're like, can't eat lettuce for a bit,
I don't even
and
like
everyone goes on fine.
You just made it the most
lettuce. That's why I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about life.
And it's just because you can either have it on a salad or in a burger?
No, I just think because salads are very widely consumed. Like
It does have a lot of uses.
But we've named 2.
Salads,
Burger,
sandwiches.
we got the burger.
A turkey sandwich.
Sandwiches in general, more than just burgers.
I mean,
Those are big categories, right?
lettuce wraps.
Garnishes.
I'm just saying.
Lettuce wraps, Billy.
You can have other wraps.
See, like
Yeah, but
lettuce
they're not as good as
is.
the
wrap.
You need the cold texture of the lettuce going up against the hot texture of the
This
chicken.
is the point I was trying to make. Lettuce is more important than Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts taste great, and I love them when they're cooked great, but my life would change more if lettuce went away
In what
than
sense?
if Brussels sprouts went
How
away.
would your life change?
Because then every burger, I'm just like, I want lettuce into.
You can have one plain.
You just said you didn't like lettuce.
I don't.
So then
I'm
your
not
life
ta- I'm
would
talking
not
about-
change
Your life would
because
change
of
a
a
little
burger.
Talking
bit.
about society here.
No, you just said my life.
Yeah.
I'm speaking
You
in
can't
general.
decide on behalf of society. It was your opinion.
Most people
I
like
mean,
lettuce on sandwiches.
Huh.
But your life would not change.
Right, but most people's would change more than if
So it's
Brussels
not that
sprouts.
important to you. It's important to everyone else, is what you're saying.
You got it.
Right.
Okay.
That was a sigh right there.
So I think we're supposed to talk to Greg Cote, but I don't know what's going on anymore.
Right. Yeah, we are.
I saw Taylor coming in today.
Yeah.
Not to put his business out there. I saw Taylor coming in today.
You
but
just did.
He was coming a different way than he normally comes because he normally rides his scooter like up the garage and parks like inside. But I saw him coming in the front door of the building that we work at. And I asked him, like, no scooter today? He's like, no, I took the bus. My scooter has a flat tire.
Oh,
And then I was like, well, how long? He's like, a couple weeks. And I'm like, well, how don't you get a change? He's like, oh, I don't know where to get a change. And we started going down this path. And I'm like, Taylor, like, I can figure out how to fix your scooter tire. Not me personally, society. But I said, society can figure out how to change your tire. Just go to YouTube. Someone has put up a video of your probably exact model scooter changing the tire. Just order the parts. And I'm sure you can figure it out. You're a resourceful person. You're a smart person. You can figure it out. Because I guess he had a bad experience with this happened before where his tire got like blown out or got a flat tire or whatever. He went to some guy named Tire Tony. Tire Tony went
Scooter Tony, I think.
Scooter Tony,
Oh.
sorry. So Scooter Tony fixed his tire one day, and then the next day it was flat again. So he went back to Scooter Tony. Scooter Tony tried to charge him another $120 to fix his scooter tire that he charged him $120 for the day before. Taylor, again, not my place to put any of this out. Taylor went and wrote him a bad Google review while he was in the guy's place and walked out. Then Scooter Tony called him to complain about the fact that he got a bad review, and Taylor didn't answer. But the Scooter Tony bridge was burned when Scooter Tony tried to double up the payment on this. So we said, Taylor, just buy the tire, whatever. We'll figure it out. We can go. And then he was going on YouTube and found a person that can change his tire. We just don't know the parts or how exactly to change the tire.
Not Scooter Tony.
Not Scooter Tony. We're
Right.
done with Scooter Tony. Scooter Tony tried to rip off.
Okay.
And if anyone out there is planning on doing business with Scooter Tony, don't. Let that be your warning to anyone
He's
out
looking
there.
into the camera. He's
I'm
pointing. He's serious.
If you're
Yes.
trying to rip off Taylor, don't do it. And if you see someone named Scooter Tony, which Taylor admitted he didn't know if the guy's name was Tony. I don't know where Scooter Tony came from. It's just what Mike Fuentes called it, so there may not be a Scooter Tony, but don't go to Scooter Tony. Anyway, the point is, people,
there's a point.
yes, people.
There's a much larger
society-
point
There
here.
always is, Roy. It just depends on how long it takes to get there.
We were able to
Lazy
find
River.
the video of how to fix Taylor's scooter on YouTube
Like
within
that.
minutes. And I want to give a shout out to all of the people in society, all the heroes in society, who decide on their spare time to put up videos on YouTube fixing random things. Because I've been able to fix so many things that are specific to me because some helpful person just decided, you know what? I'm going to put this on YouTube. I had my old refrigerator. It had a situation where we would bump into it and it would turn itself into showroom mode. So it would essentially turn off the cooling and just have the lights work as though it was in a showroom, right? And I could not figure out how to do it, right? Some helpful person, the exact same model of my refrigerator, put up a video on YouTube, and 3 or 4 different times we bumped into it and this happened, and we only found out because like all the ice had melted and there was like a huge puddle around it, and I was able to fix it in 2 seconds. Just boom, boom, push this, hold it down for 4 seconds, and it turns right back on. Anything that you need to fix, someone has put up a video on YouTube to fix.
My air fryer, one of the buttons fell out, was on my counter. I'm like, how do I put this little button? Because there wasn't just a clean slot for it.
Right.
YouTube, exact model, exact mistake.
Nailed it.
See what I'm saying?
It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been able to change brake lights in my car because someone put up the exact same year, make, and model of my car. This is how you do it.
What isn't on YouTube? Is there anything I can put in there?
The crazy thing about it, too, is that those videos, while they seem like so random and whatever, then you look at the numbers, like 657,000 people have watched this video, and it's like, whoa.
They're
Well,
always
probably
so
monetized.
they're always so soft spoken too. They're like, "Hello, welcome to this tutorial of how to."
You have to be because you're about to do something that you're not comfortable doing. You don't know how to do it, and so you have to be like, "Hey, it's going to be okay."
Make sure to like and subscribe and
Yeah.
thanks for being here.
There's one guy on YouTube, I don't remember his name right now, but he's like, hey, this is your dad advice. Like, I'm going to teach you all the things that your dad didn't
know
teach you
that
if you don't have a
guy.
dad. Like,
You know the dad advice guy?
Yeah.
How?
I follow him on TikTok.
so he's like, here's how to fix a toilet. And you're like, oh, damn, I've never had to fix a toilet before. My dad never showed me. My dad doesn't know how to fix a toilet. So he's there like, you got to unscrew this, and then you got to put this here and do that and then fix it. I found one because my wife, a ring that my wife had, not her wedding ring, a ring that she had fell down the drain. But you know how the drains are kind of like scooped?
It had
right?
like the J trap or whatever.
So I went on to this guy's channel. I don't remember what his name was. But I went on. He's like, this is how you get a ring out of the drain. It was the exact title of what I did, like ring out of drain bathroom, whatever. And he's like, you got to unplug it here, unplug it there. So I took it out. There was a lot of gunk inside, by the way, so it was kind of gross.
Yeah.
But I ended up scooping it out and getting the ring out. And I was like, look, this dude, even though I can't shout out his name because I don't remember, I respected that guy.
Who is this guy? Did dad advice from Bo?
I don't know. Let me see.
Feels like
This
it.
guy's 97,000
Speaking of
followers.
dads, let's bring on Chris's dad. Greg Cote is on the line. He is ready to join us. He is the biggest star in the national media today. Everyone is talking about not one but two of his takes from yesterday, one in the Herald, one on the show. Before we get to the great Greg Cote, let's play the clip that aired on SportsCentra.
Is this the most ridiculous hot take ever?
This is Mick ridiculous. Absolutely. Listen, I'm all about clickbait, reader engagement, pandering to the home crowd. I get that. And maybe it's working because here we are talking about it, so it's mission accomplished. But like, if you know anything about hockey, and I'm assuming Greg might, you know that one player, no matter how great he is, cannot get it done and win a Stanley Cup on his own. Not McDavid, not anybody. But McDavid clearly is the greatest player in the game. He is generational. He's one of the best offensive players in the history of the game already. He has proven that beyond a shadow of a doubt. So, Greg, I'm sorry. This is preposterous, outrageous, ridiculous, and just flat out wrong. So I know the Miami crowd might eat it up going up against McDavid, but if you're a hockey writer, some point you're going to look back at this article, this headline, and say, that was not my finest journalistic moment, because this is just ridiculous and wrong.
Again, he called him a hockey writer.
Sorry.
Greg Cote, your thoughts?
Well, I am not guilty of being a hockey writer. I'm a general sports columnist who dabbles in hockey when hockey is important, which it is this time of year for sure. And I stand by that opinion. Now, you know what? The word you can quibble with the word overrated. I could have called him an underachiever.
Underachiever.
Yeah, I could have called him an underachiever.
He's a
instead of
three-time
overrated.
MVP.
Yeah.
I think both fit.
Yeah.
Well, that's an individual award, and his stats are great. But my whole argument is that right now, at this point in his career, he has great stats that amount to empty numbers. And I maintain that when you come into the league called McJesus, called the chosen one, and expected to be the second coming of Wayne Gretzky, and you're in your 9th season and you haven't won a Stanley Cup yet, you have underachieved. You haven't met your lofty expectations yet, beyond lofty expectations. I'm not arguing that he isn't a great player. I know his speed. I know 97 is the best player in the game right now, although that's probably arguable. Austin Matthews might have a little to say with that.
Leave him alone. I mean, this is the biggest media star going today. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is the
I'm
get
just
of
saying,
gets.
in terms of expectations, in terms of the hype that he has, he's in his 9th year. He hasn't raised the cup yet, and based on the betting odds I see, he is not expected to raise the cup this time either. I know it's not a one-man game, but one man in hockey who's that good, who's Wayne Gretzky good, can lift a team to championship level, and he hasn't yet. So
your
that's
point
my
on
take.
your point on all this is what scares me the most about the Oilers in this series. Every all-time great has a Stanley Cup title. And he's going to get, so like history tells us he will get one. That's the part that scares me about this.
Okay. Hasn't history told us that for the last 8 or 9 years?
That, you know, LeBron didn't win till his 9th year. Like, it's not that crazy. People, usually stars are drafted to bad teams. So
Chris,
they're bad at the beginning.
But you don't get what's going on here. You're taking this very seriously. You want to argue with your dad. Your dad doesn't give a shit. Okay, your dad wrote something. He gave his opinion, and everyone's talking about it in different countries. I mean, that's all he cares about.
Well, hold on a second. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So, Greg, this is something you believe. This is not clickbaity. This is not something you were doing just to McRib him.
It's all of the above, and I'm going to admit that. Listen, listen. If you read the column I wrote, okay, I believe I'm paraphrasing myself here, but I think I'm quoting myself accurately.
This is great.
The column begins, Connor McDavid is overrated. Boom. In other words, I intentionally wanted to make a statement that would, get people
clicks,
conversing and watching. And, well, you said clicks. I didn't.
You did your job, Greg. Don't apologize for it. You did your job.
No, and to Stugotz's point, he's right on the mark here, okay? I don't take – listen, now I know what Sinead O'Connor felt like when she ripped up a picture of the Pope on national TV. I mean, the idea that I would blaspheme this god of hockey in the entire country of Canada, with the possible exception of small pockets of Calgary, would think that I'm an idiot. That's fine with me. It's sports. It's just hockey. I don't think Connor McDavid has lived up to his potential yet. That's all.
Well, how are the clicks?
You can disagree with it.
How are the clicks so far?
Yeah, how are the clicks?
Pretty good.
Now, McOverrated is coming to town. Will you be McInterviewing him or not so much?
I will be McInterviewing him in a McGroup interview. Yeah, I'm sure I will after.
Any reference to the article written? Maybe you don't mention that you did it. Just say, there's people out there who are saying,
this, right?
Some are saying exactly right.
Dave Hyde.
I've moved on.
Yeah.
You've moved on.
You haven't moved on.
I've written another column since then.
You retweeted the old column.
That is true.
I retweeted it, yeah, only because I hadn't yet reacted to the firestorm.
Yeah.
So I tweeted out, if you haven't seen the column yet, here it is.
Well, is that like an arson returning to the scene of a crime that he started?
That's not a bad analogy. Yeah, probably. But here's the thing, and Stugotz alluded to it. I don't take sports that seriously. Like, if I write a column saying I think Patrick Mahomes is overrated, or I think LeBron James is overrated, or I don't think I think Michael Jordan was two more championships away from the all-time. It's just an opinion. It's just a sports opinion. And to the point of the gentleman who was speaking there from Canada, I'm not a hockey writer. I'm not an expert, and I don't pretend to be. But I see sports from a macro standpoint, and overlooking the entirety of sports. If you come into the league with the hype that Connor McDavid had, and 9 years in, you're still looking for your first championship, there is something missing. And believe me, I know about stuff missing from resumes because I grew up in my journalism career covering Dan Marino, one of the greatest quarterbacks ever, but never won a Super Bowl. Yep. And that's a legitimate hole in his resume. And right now in Connor McDavid's resume, if you're calling him the second coming of Gretzky, he's in his 9th year and he hasn't won a Stanley Cup yet. That's on him, not me.
Greg, I think you'd like to know that when you type in Greg Cote on Google, first thing that comes up, Greg Cote, Connor McDavid.
There you go.
A lot of people looking up.
Greg, how'd you feel? He mentioned your name twice. The first time he did it, it was very condescending. We'll play it for you and get your reaction.
Greg.
Okay, well, here's the good thing. In Canada, they know how to pronounce my last name because Cote or Cote is a very common. It's like Smith or Jones in certain areas.
I don't know
of
if
Montreal.
it's Smith, but
well, I mean, it's a very common name. Ask my friends up in Canada right now how
it's
common
Johnson.
that surname is.
Huh.
Yeah, there you go, Johnson.
Yeah.
Whatever.
How'd you feel
And
about
Lopez.
a newscast talking about your flags, the fact that you pointed out? We have this clip. Okay, so he made news twice. Not once, but twice yesterday. Here's the second thing.
Finally tonight, did you know that the state of Oregon and the country of Paraguay have something in common? Why am I telling you this? Because we are here to educate and inform, just like the good folks over at the Dan LeBatard Show with Stugotz.
Paraguay, from South America, of course, and the U.S. state of Oregon are the only two flags, official flags, that are different on either side. How about that?
See, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
What do you mean, like
Can you say it again?
parallelogram
Okay.
or
But
something?
slower.
Okay. Okay. So they're different on both
Yeah.
sides.
If you if
The
you
shape
look
is
at
different.
what's on it is different. The look
So
is
they're
different.
asymmetrical.
No.
Both sides. If you look
Like
at
the
on
front of the flag and the back of the flag have different things
Yes,
on them?
exactly.
Oh.
Got
Right.
it. Yes.
Well
I've never thought of the backside of a flag.
Yeah, like the state
neither.
flag, the
Same
Florida
here.
state flag, the Canadian flag are the same on each side. Only in Paraguay and Oregon are the two sides of a flag different.
That kind of thing, Alan. And you know it.
What a day for you.
Thank you. Yes, and by the way, the Greg Cote Show podcast broke that news about the flag fact.
With Greg Cote.
That's right. Thank you, Roy.
You got it.
Manny Marino. Whose career would you rather have? Eli.
Marino.
What?
Yeah,
2 rings.
I would.
Rick. Yeah.
There's no
I know.
Marino
I
cast.
get that.
All right.
I get that. I'm not saying rings are the be all end all of someone's career, but I think if your career aspires to be live up to the nicknames McJesus and the Chosen One, you have to have a Stanley Cup on your resume. You have to. It's
fairness-
unequivocal. There's no argument.
Jesus had no Stanley Cups.
That's a good point, Billy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
He did have
You know,
a
I'm
cup,
gonna
though.
reconsider.
Yeah, he had a cup.
He had a
Conference
cup.
cup. Yeah.
Yes.
Holy Grail, yeah.
Okay. A chalice, a gold chalice.
Not nearly
That's
as important as a
debatable.
Stanley
It
Cup,
wasn't.
though.
It wasn't a gold chalice.
Yeah, if
that
you
would have gotten you
remember
stuck in the
Indiana
Knights
Jones.
Templar. Yeah.
Exactly right. It
Very
was
good.
the wooden
Okay.
one. Spoiler alert.
Well, Greg, congratulations on your big day. We're very happy for you, man. It's a
Okay.
it's a big
Thank
one
you.
for you. You did your job, man. Don't apologize.
Okay.
I'm so proud. Okay. Thank you, Canada. I love you. Always have.
What do you guys make of what C.J. Stroud is doing? Seriously, because you have a quarterback in his second year, and quarterbacks don't say a thing.
What's he doing?
We've made fun of that. Well, he's being honest.
Well, but in what sense? Because he said a lot of things in a lot of places.
I don't think you traditionally hear a second-year quarterback, or really any quarterback for that matter, give his top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. I certainly don't think you hear a guy who hasn't won a Super Bowl himself say he'd rather have Eli's career over Aaron Rodgers' career. That Matthew Stafford would have done a lot more with those Packer teams than Aaron did. He seems to have a problem with Aaron Rodgers. He's not the only one, by the way. But he seems to have an issue with Aaron Rodgers. Just a quarterback talking the way he's talking without really doing much other than his fantastic rookie season. That's all. You typically don't hear quarterbacks talk. I mean, we know that. The first interesting thing Dan Marino says will be the first interesting thing that Dan Marino says.
Well, no, the next interesting thing that he says will be the first.
Also the first, yeah,
I think
you know what I mean.
Joe Burrow's a good
Thanks,
example.
sure. Yeah.
Joe Burrow's a good example of a quarterback that he came into the league and was really good, really quick, and he didn't do what CJ's doing. Like, he didn't, I'm popular now, let me go out and hit the podcast scene. And
No.
like, is CJ, does he have a podcast? Because that could be what he's doing, of trying to get out there as someone who's interesting. I have to look that up, but he's definitely doing something.
Joe Burrow is putting a lot of pressure on himself this year, in my opinion. He's coming off of an injury. He kind of needs to, actually him? Is he going to recover from the injury? Also his hair. The hair that he's coming into this season with, he needs to succeed. He cannot be a flop with that hair this year.
There are rumors of a breakup, too.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
We don't know anything, but there's been a lot of chatter.
So is that why he's growing out the hair?
Potentially.
Interesting.
You really perk up at hair.
Well, I got a haircut. Nobody noticed, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Roy did.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
He just didn't say anything.
No, Roy
No, he
noticed that she
didn't.
did her nails, but she did not.
I'm just talking.
I thought about it.
Guys, I'm just talking in general. Roy, we were doing the show for a long time. We always thought we make fun of Ryan Tannehill because he doesn't say a thing. And now you have a quarterback who's saying a ton of things, but he doesn't have any rings. And he's talking about quarterbacks who do have rings, and he's telling us which one is better, who's better, whose career he'd rather have.
He's talking about a quarterback with a ring. in Aaron Rodgers, saying he should have more rings.
And Eli has 2, and he's
Yeah.
saying he'd rather have Eli's career. Aaron Rodgers has won 4 MVPs. Aaron Rodgers has been to the NFC Championship game 5 times. He has lost 4 of those.
He's considered to be the best by some people.
So this is how I do it. Like many, many years from now, I will have a sit-down with my grandson. Okay?
You will.
And it better be many, many years from now.
Or granddaughter.
Okay, or granddaughter.
Or none, if your daughters don't have
My
children.
grandchild.
Talk to yourself.
My grandchild. Thank you for correcting me.
Depending also on the state of your, mental capacities.
Yeah.
You could be talking to yourself.
Yes.
Thinking you're talking to a
What are you
child.
doing to Stugotz right here? He's going to be very
The
sane,
same thing he
very
does to
able.
everyone.
Come on,
Yes.
go ahead.
So many, many years from now,
Really
we
here.
will have a sit-down, and my grandchild will hopefully ask me, Dad, who are the greatest quarterbacks of all time?
You're on a rocking chair.
Granddad, not dad.
I'm on a rocking chair.
Grandchild won't call you dad. Then there's
They'll say
definitely something that needs
they'll
to be
say
looked
grandpa,
Kids
papa,
on your lap.
Yeah.
I'm trying to paint the
Yeah.
picture here.
into. Yeah.
And they'll say, listen, grandpa, who are the greatest quarterbacks of all time?
Pop.
And I will tell you that I will list a number of quarterbacks, including Aaron Rodgers, before the name Eli Manning comes out of my mouth.
Yeah, but at the time, the greatest quarterback's gonna be someone named like Skateboard Smith or something. You know what I mean? Like, so they're gonna not be listening to any of this. You're like, what are you talking about? Who the hell is CJ Stroud?
It will be CJ Stroud.
Think about the advertising opportunities for Skateboard Smith.
If skateboards are still a thing back then or in the future.
Back then?
Yeah, then you know.
Back to the future.
Yeah.
Stu, not only that, he also kind of went after Aaron Rodgers personally, $2 million worth of game with Wallow and Gilly. He came out and said the reason why he doesn't have as many rings as other quarterbacks is because he was kind of a bad teammate. So he throws him under the bus on, I know Brady's a good teammate. Why? He has all those rings. Why does Aaron Rodgers only have 1 ring? He's not that good of a teammate.
A lot of look at me Louis stuff from CJ Stroud here.
That's what I'm saying.
I saw
There
DeMarco
you
Murray was talking at with the media a couple days ago, and he's like, "Oh, big difference in CJ this year. This year he's stopping drills down when it doesn't look right. He's like, everyone, come here." Like he's just, I don't know.
Wait,
just
he's being a leader as a quarterback and a
but
face of a
there's
franchise?
line.
Like you don't
There's
want
a
him to do
line.
that?
There's a line.
Lead less, Chris is saying.
There's a line.
How about have some respect? I mean,
Yeah.
He commands respect now.
Who would you rather be if you could switch bodies with either person? Would you rather switch bodies right now with Aaron Rodgers or with Eli Manning?
Just bodies, not like brain.
That's part of his body.
Oh, then yeah, Eli probably.
You'd rather be
well,
Eli.
I think
say
Eli's
Eli,
richer too.
Eli's richer?
Yeah, because the
I don't know
Omaha.
about that.
Omaha, he's making so much
Aaron's
money on
made
like.
Aaron's made a ton.
But
yeah, but Eli's
Aaron's-
got post-career money
Yeah,
that he's
Aaron's
making.
not going to get any endorsements again ever.
The internet's
we'll never
telling
see him on a State Farm
internet is
commercial
telling
again.
me Eli's net worth is 160 million.
What's Aaron's?
and growing though. That's the
That's
difference.
Eli made more than that.
Well, your
don't
net
think
worth
so.
is not always everything you made.
Well,
You have
what's
to spend
Aaron's?
money on stuff.
I think the
Aaron's
Jets
signed deals bigger than 160.
He signed them twice. I think. Yes, I believe the Jets play the Texans. That's going to be a doozy.
It says 200 for Aaron.
He's got 252 worth of career earnings in the NFL.
But I do agree, like the
Future earnings
right.
is so pro Eli.
Yeah, Omaha Productions. If is that 50-50? Because
I have no idea.
it's always kind of
It
like
always feels way more Peyton.
Yeah.
But also you
Wonder
have
what the
Arch
split is.
you have
Eli-
Arch Manning coming up. This family, all the marketing opportunities, they're about to skyrocket.
Eli made $252 million in his career, so he has blown $90 million, and that's why his net worth is $90 million less than
I
he
don't know,
made. I find that hard to believe.
Why do you have it if you don't spend it?
I don't know if you can trust any of these celebrity
No,
net
you
worth
can't.
sites, but
But their number is growing because of what they're doing post-career.
I-
Aaron could still do. I understand what you're saying about the sponsors. If Aaron wants to do a show or be an analyst, like
Yeah.
someone's going to hire him. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers.
Until they kick him off. He'll do something that's going to be like,
You don't think so?
I think Aaron.
I think he has enough money to do whatever he wants and like not worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
no,
both
yes.
rich. I would like both of their bank accounts.
Yes,
Happily.
But I do think that I think that people definitely would be hesitant to give him like a Sunday NFL
Yeah.
kickoff job, wondering what he could say and what position he could put them in.
I like this. I like putting ourselves in the room when Eli and Peyton were like doing the pie chart on Omaha Productions, because Peyton's like, I'm Peyton, like.
Yeah, but
you're
Eli was so close to having 2 rings and Peyton only having
I'm just
one.
saying.
Right?
I feel like that's 60-40. If I'm Peyton, I go in 60-40, right? You're good with that?
If
And
Eli, I'm
takes
good
that.
with that. I'm like, yeah, you do all the work. I don't care. We'll just
Exactly.
show up once a week.
You think it's 60-40?
We'll do Eli's places or whatever.
60%
It's
of
probably
Peyton's
like
money, though.
70-30.
Really?
That's when
Yeah,
Eli
well,
pushes
like-
back. That's when Eli's like 65-35.
Yeah, like what does Eli Manning do within Omaha? I'm asking.
Well, he
Jim-
hosts the main show.
He is the likable
Yes.
one on.
Right.
But I don't know if he does anything else. Like when I see all those like EP credits that Peyton Manning gets, I never see
It's all
Eli.
Peyton.
He does
Yeah,
like the
right.
Radio Row hits. Like
That's
you guys had
also-
But
Eli
he's
on.
also in
Yes,
the
we
Corona
did.
commercials, I believe.
Yeah.
We had him on because of Jabba Chamberlain.
There's some EP credits though that are phony EP
Yeah.
credits.
For
You know,
Eli,
you
you're
just
saying?
no, in general,
For Peyton.
just general.
Just
Yeah.
putting his name on it because he's the
You
boss.
just put EP
Right.
next to some whatever, 'cause whatever reason.
Like
But
Chris
it-
Cote, intern.
Like with CJ, it's so confusing because he's doing the rings thing, and I should be proud of him, but he doesn't have any rings, and he shouldn't be doing the ring thing.
I have a question
What's that, Billy?
for this show, and it's something that has been discussed multiple times, and
Yes.
it is in relation to JJ Redick. And I guess rumors yesterday that the Lakers hired him, even though they haven't yet, or maybe they have, but they're not announcing that they have.
No official
There seemed to be
reports.
yesterday like this buzz, like he had gotten hired. But
He's
that
hired,
has not
though.
been reported.
I don't
I
care
think
if it's reported
the
or not.
report
JJ
was-
Redick's going to be the next head coach of the Lakers.
It was one of
That's
those reports that's not a report. It's like they're circling in.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was just.
So here's my question, because we've discussed this, and Dan's discussed this in particular in regards to JJ Redick. He said JJ Redick will make more in his media career than he did as a basketball player. This is now kind of halting that, at least for the moment. His media career, you would think, is now on hold, right? Like, I do not think he's going. You think he's going to continue to do a podcast?
You could Doug Gottlieb it. He's head coach.
So
at
Billy was
Green
not
Bay now.
aware that Gottlieb took a head coaching job
Yeah.
and is still doing his radio show.
I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah.
Where's he at? Green Bay or something?
Yeah, he's at Green Bay and he's still doing the radio show.
Packers.
Yeah, but the Lakers' job is slightly different than head coach of whatever school, right? Is it not? Wisconsin, Green Bay?
Yes.
That's a different job.
Yes.
You think he's still going to be doing it? Ooh, and how about this? If LeBron
Well, I think that's up
stays-
to LeBron.
If LeBron stays with the Lakers, LeBron hates all his coaches. We can say that confidently, right? I don't think that we're painting with a broad brush there. He does. He always, if he doesn't dislike them at the beginning, he grows to dislike all of his coaches, right?
Fair.
No way it would be a must listen to if he hated them. The two of them, player and coach, having a podcast together on the same team. Right?
Electric.
No way that happens, though.
Not only that, maybe what LeBron is doing is hiring JJ Redick so that way they can in turn draft Bronny. JJ Redick goes, "Hey, you scratched my back.
It's
I'll
part of the
scratch
deal,
yours.
right?
Let's get Bronny.
Give
in.
me
I'm
the
gonna give
gig
you
and
a
I'll
nice
hire
deal."
and I'll
I think-
draft your son.
I
Yeah.
think JJ says no, and that's where the first rift is.
I think LeBron says yes to them continuing the podcast.
Well,
And if it's a no, then and LeBron needs a co-host, I'm here for him.
And if LeBron
There we
goes to
go.
Portland, then they can't.
Right.
You could break down X's and O's like JJ.
Of course. We love Steve Levy. He has been on with me and Billy several times. He has joined us on the show with LeBatard a few times as well. He is a friend. He was mad at me because I told him this would be video, and that meant he had to put on a shirt. Good day, Steve
No,
Levy.
it's, I had to change shirts. This is my good shirt. So
Oh,
you can
okay.
imagine what I was wearing before.
Please tell us. What were you wearing before?
You don't want to see me in a Butcher Gross tank top, okay? It's not as good.
Steve, before you came to Sunrise, Florida for the first time, did
Yeah.
you think Sunrise, Florida was paradise?
So look, I've been going to South Florida for a long, long time. So I was definitely surprised. Again, I go back to the original Panthers days. So when they first moved out to the arena, it was probably the very first time I was in Sunrise. I think they had illegal seafood there in that mall across
Oh,
the
they
street.
did, Steve. God, did I love that place.
They still do,
Yeah.
don't they? No.
It's been closed for like 10
Because
years.
having my Boston roots, it's
Let it
illegal.
run.
I'm like, all right, we can go get some chowder there. We'll be okay, So
Yeah.
I did not think it was paradise. I've always questioned why the arena was put there. And listen, it's a great arena, and the fan base has been terrific. And obviously, all they do is win now down there. City of Champions, Sunrise. And
No one calls it that.
No one called.
No, they don't
he
call
knows
that?
that. It's why he said it. Yeah.
It's not the City of Champions.
No.
We stayed at that AC Marriott early in the playoffs,
Oh,
right
Steve.
across the street. And so let's just say it's conveniently located. Let's put it that way. How we doing?
All right. At the end of this interview, if I may, I'm going to ask you your top 5 things to do in Sunrise, Florida. Okay. I mean, because
Give
you've
me
been
some time to think about it. Can
Well,
it be
you
top 2?
It could be top 2. That's fine. Yes.
Okay.
Top 2 is fine. Roy has been telling me confidently that the Panthers are the best team in hockey, and he's been saying it all year. Is he right?
Well, if he's been saying it all year, that's really impressive. They are the best team in hockey right now. and they've been probably since the start of the playoffs, I would say. They are the best team in hockey. I can't believe how good they are, and maybe that's on me that I shouldn't be surprised, but they are the best team. They were so much better than the Rangers. To me, that series felt like a sweep, and were so impressive in every facet of the game. If not for Shesterkin, there are blowouts in that series, and it's definitely a 4-game sweep. So, yes, Florida is the best team in hockey.
Well, there's 2 teams right now, though, Steve.
What's the question?
Well, Billy's saying it has to be one of the two. It has to be the Panthers or Edmonton.
No, it doesn't have to. You could be the best team in hockey and go out in an early round or something.
Yes.
Things happen in hockey. Weird stuff.
Correct. I would say in all the sports, you're right. The best team does not always win in that sport, and so you are correct. In other sports, that's not the case. But in hockey, a team that's not the most talented wins all the time.
That's why you see the 8 seed win the Stanley Cup from time to time. It happens probably every 10 years. I think Chicago did it. The Kings might have done it. So anyway, the point is it doesn't happen in the other sports. Almost impossible to be the 8th seed in the NBA and win the championship. It does happen in hockey based on injuries and, the other team having a hot goalie. And then, the rest of the team might not be that great, but you have the best goalie you could win on those nights. So, anyway.
Steve, a quote in one of our co-hosts, Greg Cote's article went viral in Canada today. Apparently, he believes that despite the fact that he's a 3-time MVP and has all the stats, Connor McDavid is overrated because he hasn't won a Stanley Cup yet. In fact, he called him Mick overrated. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a terrible nickname. That's my first thought. No, he can't be overrated. He's the best player in hockey. I don't think you can be overrated. Now, look, he does need this for his career. He does need it to cement his career. And his career he might be halfway, guys. This might be still his prime in his 9th season, which is pretty remarkable. So we'll see. I don't believe he's overrated. I do believe he's the best player in the sport and is cracking into, already top 10 and maybe could be one of the top 5 greatest players in hockey history. So think about that for a second. So you can't be overrated, but I think he does need the Stanley Cup at some point to cement his legacy.
Greg came out earlier to clarify his statements. He said he's an underachiever. Does that sound better? Does that feel better to you?
I mean, again, hockey, it's hard to in hockey, it's hard to put it on one guy. He wasn't getting a lot of help for a lot of years. And now he's getting, more help. And guys have matured and stepped up, and some acquisitions have worked out there, and goaltending and all those kinds of things. It's why hockey is special, because it is so different from the other sports. And regardless of who you are, Wayne Gretzky, didn't win the Stanley Cup every single season. Right. And in fact, I think he only won 4 Stanley Cups. Only, I say. Yeah, only. But I think that's, here's the greatest player without question who played, he played 20 years in the NHL. So 16 of those years, he didn't win a championship. So you do have to have some help. Even the greatest, forwards in the sport can only play really, 21, 22 minutes. That's a third of the hockey game. So defensemen actually can play a larger role. Because, guys like Gustav Forsling, who's, we need to talk about. Like, PK wants to put him in the Conn Smythe potential, and he's right about it. Gustav Forsling has been unbelievable. And I still think, when you talk about an underrated guy and a name people don't know, they have to know about him now because we're talking about him every night.
Steve, there were some complaints about the ESPN, your version of the ESPN broadcast being too pro New York.
Complaints about ESPN? No, can't be.
Never happened before.
It seems like you guys were being too pro Rangers in this situation. In fact, you made a joke about it. Obviously, you got Mark Messier on the broadcast. Obviously, he's going to be pro Rangers. It seems like PK Subban, during the Eastern Conference Final, he was on the side of Florida. Do you agree with that?
Well, I'd say we really do try to play it down the middle. And, if we had Brian totally Scroodland on our panel, or Billy Lindsay, we might have more fun.
That's a nickname, Levy. That's how you do it. Teach Greg Cote.
You try to go down the middle as you have a Jets
Chris
poster
Berman.
behind you and a Buffalo Spirits shirt on.
That's a Chris Berman nickname. Back in the day when Boomer was on our coverage and the players loved it, he would do his nicknames like he did for Major League Baseball. Totally Scroodland always reminds me of that. So, listen, I think, the Rangers were a story for a long time, sort of team of destiny. But, I got into it on Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it now, with some Florida fans who were giving me a hard time about how that we were not impartial according to him. I'm like, listen, how many times can we say Florida's the better team in the series? Florida's been the dominant team. We can't talk more about Sasha Barkov being a monster forward in, all three zones. And we can't talk enough about Gustav Forsling. Like, we're all over it. Every time we interview a player, it was a Panther. It was Bennett or Kachuk. The Rangers have very little personality and flavor in terms of interviews. We were talking to Florida players, pregame every single night. So, no, I think that charge is unfair. Messier, obviously, and this is another tricky series for us because of his Edmonton roots, so we'll see how we play that. But I thought we were right down the middle, and we give full marks to the better team. And again, like I said before, Florida should have swept the series. That's how good the Panthers were.
You've been around this game for a very long time. You love hockey, and I'm wondering, we were discussing this. Does Canada rally together when they're playing a team from the United States, or are the people in Montreal not rooting for the team in Edmonton?
So that's a great question. And that'll be a real storyline. I saw Gretz say this the other night that all of Canada will be behind them. And look, maybe it will be because it's, Alberta's kind of friendly. You know what I mean? Edmonton, Calgary, they all get along. But I know when it was Vancouver against Boston, Montreal and Toronto were not in. And if Toronto ever made it to the Stanley Cup final, Montreal would not be rooting for them and so on and so forth. So, Winnipeg is a nice story. Maybe Canada would get behind little Winnipeg. But that's not the case. So I'm really not sure what the story will be there. I think it's good for the game. It's good for the game on a lot of areas, right? So Florida Panthers are the best team in hockey. We've got them. We've got the best player in the Stanley Cup final. We have a Canadian market in the Stanley Cup final. No team from Canada has won the Stanley Cup since 1993. So that's 31 years ago. And that was Montreal beating Barry Melrose and Wayne Gretzky and those LA Kings. And since that time, no Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. They've only been in it a few times since. So it's interesting to watch from that perspective. But I can't tell you for sure if all of Canada is behind the Edmonton Oilers. Calgary would be the litmus test, right? Because that Battle of Alberta, that's fierce, that's real. Matthew Tkachuk will absolutely be abused by the crowd in Edmonton. See what Evander Kane has to say about all that from their history from the Calgary-Edmonton series and games in the past. So, but that'll be a fun storyline to watch.
Well, who else is going to have to step up for the Oilers in this series? I mean, you got McDavid, you got Draisaitl, you got Hyman. Who else is going to have to step up? Is it going to be Kane?
Hyman. So, Evan Bouchard has been really, really good. I think he is, a year or two away from catapulting himself in the Norris Trophy consideration. But to me, Stuart Skinner is the story. He really improved against Dallas. He really showed he belonged. He looked so confident. People will forget in the series prior against Vancouver, Stuart Skinner was pulled. I mean, he did not start games 4 and 5 of a series. Career backup journeyman Calvin Pickard started. And at that point, you're thinking, all right, they're done with Skinner. How can you go back to him? And yet they do go back to him in, I believe, games 6 and 7 of that series. And he winds up winning it and has been really good ever since. Stuart Skinner's a really likable guy. He's had his ups and downs. He's not an old guy. He's a young guy. I think he's like 25 or 26. And to me, he'll be among the top storylines in this series because you know what you're getting from Bob for the Panthers in goal. And Stuart Skinner is an easy guy to root for. And I think somebody else to watch for in the series, he's obviously not on the ice, but is the coach, Chris, don't call me Chuck Knobloch. who started the hockey season in Hartford as the minor league coach here in Connecticut, ESPN's home team, the Hartford Wolfpack. And Edmonton started off the season in brutal shape. They changed the coach. They go on to win 16 in a row. So the experienced coach in Paul Maurice, who we love his press conferences, against now Chris Knobloch, who's not even had a full season in the NHL. I think that's another good storyline to watch for.
All right, we have 15 seconds, which is all it takes to tell us your top 2 things to do in Sunrise. So go ahead.
I'm going to wait till the last 2 seconds of the 15.
It's
Now.
there.
Oh, you missed it.
Is there a P.F. Chang's in that moment?
Oh, there is.
Yes, there is. And a grand Lux.
So during the WNBA games, one of my least favorite parts of the game is they will interview the coaches like during the game as it's happening. And you can tell the coaches are frustrated because they're trying to coach and they're answering questions from Rebecca Lobo at the same time. It's just a very difficult
Short
thing to
answers.
do. Yeah, like you're not getting anything valuable from these interviews. You never really get like a good soundbite or anything. So Sean Yoo, I don't want to call him a friend of the show, but he's my friend. So does that make him a friend of the show?
Yep.
Okay.
Judges? Yep, you're good.
Tangentially.
Who's Sean Yoo?
Sean Yoo, we used to work together at Wave TV. He's awesome, but he had one of the best ideas I've ever seen. He
How do we
tweeted,
follow Sean Yoo?
At Sean Yoo. Sean SeanYoo. Great Twitter follow. He tweeted, we need to get rid of the coaches' interviews, the pre-halftime interviews, and instead go up into the crowd, find a fan, and say, what do you think we're doing wrong?
Fan interviews.
Fan interviews. Ask Ronald in section 127.
We stink.
What's going on?
Couldn't be more into this idea.
It's so great.
I want to take this to the Heat broadcast. This
What do
is
you
great.
think we should do?
Yeah, just walk up to a random fan sitting in like the 300 section who's actually a diehard, who's actually really into it, and just, hey, Heat are down 67-54 here in the third quarter. What do you think Spo should change?
I'm following this idea. I'm taking it, and I have another idea in it that we can maybe use. How about the fan does the interview?
You trust just giving a live microphone
You trust Pepito
to
in the
fans?
300 section
That's
to
what's
say
fun
una
about it.
barbaridad.
That I don't think anyone
It's the
of your
thrill.
bosses would
No.
agree with the funness of
We
that
don't.
after
Obviously.
2 times.
We don't interview the fan. We give the fan the mic to interview the coach.
Even worse idea.
Oh my God! I
Ideas
mean,
we somehow went
why?
from broccoli to tomatoes.
Come on,
together.
guys.
Coach, you're a bum. That's my question.
Think about the numbies
Yeah.
on these clips.
That's
Hey,
no.
Coach, why aren't you playing Jovic more?
Yeah.
I like it.
Where's Orlando Highsmith?
So we have an update on, I don't know if you guys have noticed, JuJu is gone.
This is one of the wildest
left.
stories in show history.
So JuJu
Planned
during
left. He didn't storm out.
Yeah, no, he left. A few segments ago, we had a break, and I was like, so, JuJu, how long are you in Miami? He's like, oh, I leave today. I said, oh, wow, when? He said noon. It was like 10:15 at the time. I said, whoa, cutting it kind of close. You should probably leave. He's like, nah, I'll be good.
So
I'll leave it."
he had to leave for the airport at noon?
His flight was at noon.
Yeah.
Oh,
12, not boarding time. That flight was taken off at noon. So I said, hey, you should probably leave. And he's like, no, I got it. I'm a pro.
How far are we from the airport for people to context?
We're
for
like
people?
25 minutes with
Yeah.
traffic at
no,
least.
like 20 minutes. 20 minutes. You
that's-
hop on the express.
without
you'll be fine.
traffic.
No, that's like, that is if you don't run into anything bad. You're like 20, 25 minutes away. And that's driving past it, not getting off, finding a place to park, getting dropped off, whatever.
certainly not walking through the airport because that's a big airport.
So what time did he leave the studio for a 12 o'clock flight?
11.
It was after that because
was
we
so stressful.
finished around 11 and I thought he left and I was over there and then I saw him come back and he talked to someone and I'm like,
What are you doing?
We took a picture of him still here at 11:01.
And I was like, and I am an anxious person. So during
You
it was
and
like,
Jeremy started freaking
yeah,
out.
it was like during a segment where I was about to be like, hey, you need to go. But I don't have a way to directly talk to him, and I don't want to say, hey, you need to leave, because that's
Yeah.
not very nice.
No.
But he needed to go. So it's 11 o'clock. I'm like, there's no way he makes the flight. There's no shot. He just texted me and Jeremy a picture of him on the plane at 11:50.
I don't
seems
understand how he
impossible.
did
Made it.
That's
Seems
how it's done.
impossible.
I don't get it.
I
That's
get
my-
to airports like hours before
That's
just
my,
to not miss
I know,
it.
and I hate myself for it. I'm always like, I always heckle myself. Like an hour and a half before the flight, I'm always like, they don't board for an hour and a half.
You guys are
loser.
dorks.
You know the problem is that I do that, and then I'm like, okay, let me go find my gate. Let me put my stuff
Look at
down.
the gate.
Let me sit there, right? And then somehow I'm always scrambling at the last minute. Like they're boarding the plane and I'm in the bathroom. And it's
I
like,
gotta pee, yeah.
Billy, you were here an hour and a half early. Why is this happening to you? Like, you did everything so this wouldn't be the case. But it always happens.
Get some TSA pre-check. Get clear. You're in and out like this.
I have TSA pre. I don't know.
So why do you have to be there for 7 hours
Miami
before?
International Airport is not the easiest because there's certain gates that don't have it,
Right.
and then you have to go to other gates.
It's
like
D gate all the way at the end has TSA pre-check, and then E gate.
sometimes it's closed because they don't have enough TSA agents there. Like it's
There's
not,
nothing worse
That's
than the
happened to me,
panic
yeah.
of I'm
Ugh.
running late for this flight. Like that's
yeah,
what you're
I don't need
avoiding
that
with
stress
that.
in my life.
He was so chill. Like it
He
made me
stopped
angry.
to take pictures.
Literally, that's 11:01. His flight was leaving at noon, and he stopped to take a picture with us. I was stressed. I'm still stressed, and I know he made it.
I took that photo.
Do you want credit? Like,
It's a great
Give him
picture.
a flower.
credit
Give him-
it.
give him a
They-
flower.
They
Yeah.
they credit everything else on this
Congratulations.
thing. I didn't see a credit there for me.
Draft
but it's
Krings.
fine. Goodbye, everyone.
Hey,